Well, I will say that we are happy, obviously, with the court's decision. The bottom line is that Minnesotans won today. The court very firmly overturned the governor's unconstitutional line-item vetoes of legislative funding. They made the right decision. We've known that all along, and unfortunately we had to go to court to right this wrong, but we're happy for Minnesotans that their voice here at the Capitol has been restored. So hopefully you've had a chance to see the order and read that, and I'll certainly take any questions you have.
You were not surprised by this. I know you've been pretty confident all along. Do you expect the governor to appeal?
I would ask the governor to accept the court's decision and not appeal the court's decision. I think the governor did not have a strong case from the very beginning. I think this is the sort of thing they teach in law school to new attorneys as an example of something being unconstitutional. We encourage the governor to work with us and not continue this adversarial lawsuit by appealing it to the Supreme Court. We look forward to rolling up our sleeves and working with him next session. If he doesn't like some of the things that he agreed to this session, we're certainly open to discussing them, and there's another session that starts February 20th of next year. And I'm proud to say the legislature will be at that session.
Speaker, the judge has also issued an order dismissing without prejudice the House pay lawsuit, sure. Saying it wasn't ripe yet, but this could return later on. What are your reaction to that?
I didn't get a chance to read the decision. I think the case is ripe. Did it say it wasn't ripe? I think they said they didn't have standing, right? There was no party.
Ripeness, I believe. I've only been able to skim it.
There was no affected party on the lawsuit, so it's my understanding they didn't have standing. I haven't had a chance to read that one yet. We certainly expect there will be a case that will be brought from a party that probably does have standing. We expect that decision to be, that ruling to be made by the courts as well.
What does this say to you, the governor's strategy of doing this? What does this say to you about his method of governing in Minnesota?
Well, I have all along been a little confused as to why he agreed to those things if he didn't think he could accept them. But the governor literally personally agreed to those things that he ultimately said he wanted overturned, and using a strategy of frankly trying to defund a co-equal branch of government and effectively eliminating the people's voice here at the Capitol is just not an effective way of working with people. I feel like I've actually said this before, but I feel like I should bring a copy of the book, How to Win Friends and Influence People, to the governor. We can do a lot better job of getting along than this. And I will say, and I will compliment the governor and his staff, at the end of session, we worked incredibly well together. And I think, unfortunately, after what I would call the most productive session in recent history, and when I say recent history, I mean 20 or 30 years here at the Capitol. We got historic tax relief, the largest bonding bill I think ever in the state's history. Heavy in infrastructure projects. We got a transportation bill that'll put real new money into roads and bridges, and I think we did some work that people across the state of Minnesota really appreciate, and we did it together. And the governor and his staff were incredibly great to work with at the end. Now I understand after the fact they felt like they didn't like some of the things they had agreed to. And I have to say, I don't agree with the strategy the governor used, and I think it ultimately was adversarial, and I think it potentially could hurt relationships at the Capitol. But I'm willing to start fresh. I was elected to represent Minnesotans just like the governor was, and they sent me here to work with him, and I will do that. And he has my commitment that we're going to work together to do what's best for Minnesota moving forward. And this doesn't have to be a black cloud over the next legislative session. But we do ask the governor, let's accept the court's decision, let's move on, work together, and stop this kind of frivolous strategy of trying to change things that were agreed to.
Does this damage your relationship then?
It really doesn't. I do question why the governor did this. I don't think it was a good idea. I've been very vocal about that all along. I haven't really talked to anyone, including Democrats, who thought the governor had a good strategy here, or that they thought he would win. Nobody I've talked to thought the governor would win. But ultimately he made this decision, and he has said that he made it himself, and I respect that. He was elected the governor of the state, and if that's what he wanted to do, he certainly has the right to do But I think we've gone far enough now. It's time for us to put this behind us, roll up our sleeves, and let's keep working together for what's best for Minnesotans.
Clarify the pay situation. The House will not get raises unless the court orders it.
Well, that's our position right now. Unfortunately, when Democrats passed the bill to put the constitutional amendment on the ballot, they didn't provide for a way to fund it. So it still requires legislators to vote for their own pay increase, and unfortunately, I can't ask my members to do that. They didn't support the constitutional amendment, and frankly, I can't ask them to do that. When I asked Melissa Hortman, or actually I didn't, the majority leader did, if she would put up votes, we'd pass it 50-50 to do a open and standing appropriation. She said, absolutely not. We're not putting up any votes. You can own the votes on this. Obviously, she was talking from a political perspective, and they feel they want to use this in a campaign. So it's not fair to ask me or my members to vote to raise our own pay, and that's what got us here in the first place. This was supposed to fix this, and if Democrats had done it right, it probably would have. But unfortunately, they didn't do it right. And even though people have spoken, it still requires us to vote to raise our own pay, and I can't ask my members to do that.
And you say that's our position now. Does that mean until the court orders you otherwise?
I have gone through a lot of thinking and kind of talking to other people about this, and it's been a process where, I understand that members haven't had a pay increase for, 30 years or whatever the number is. I know that members have a huge sacrifice to serve here. I do myself, but I also can't ask people to take a politically sensitive vote to raise their own pay. And particularly for me to agree to give the pay raise at a time where the governor had line item vetoed our funding, there was a scenario where I could have said, yes, legislators will get a pay increase, it's constitutional, and now we're going to lay off our staff. And I'm sorry, I just couldn't in good conscience make that sort of decision. So I think it would be great for the courts to tell us and make the decision, is this constitutional? Are we required to do this? And if they say that, members will get the pay increase.
When you were asked whether you thought this was legal, your answer was, I don't know.
That's why we would ask the courts to make the decision.
Will you be getting involved in a lawsuit asking the courts to decide?
I don't plan to, but I assume that one will be forthcoming. This last lawsuit did not have any members signed onto it, and unfortunately, the group that brought the lawsuit didn't have a standing. They weren't negatively impacted by the decision not to give the pay increase. So, my expectation is they'll probably correct that and come back with another lawsuit. But unfortunately, I wish they had figured that out the first time.
Are you planning on trying to ask the governor for a meeting after today's decision?
I haven't thought about that. I certainly, I will say that, I haven't been real happy with the governor because of what he did with the defunding the legislature. It put a lot of our staff in a really tough position, and we have members that are having babies and having surgeries, and it threw a lot of uncertainty into their lives, and I don't think it was the most well-advised decision this governor has made. So I have not spoken to him a lot in the last couple of months, but I'm certainly, I say it very sincerely, I'm willing to work with him. I'm willing to put this behind us. Let's roll up our sleeves and work together to do what we know is best for Minnesotans.
Speaker, given the, I'm wondering, A, what your thoughts were on the recent police shooting in Minneapolis, and B, if you think that the number of recent high-profile police shootings in Minnesota mean that the laws governing police training or body cameras or things like that need to be looked at in the legislature?
Any police shooting is incredibly unfortunate, regardless of the circumstances. We never want to see any interaction between the public and the police result in violence in any way, whether it be accidental or mistake, or even on purpose. We don't we don't want to see that sort of force used. No one does. Republican, Democrat, general public, nobody wants to see that. I don't know all the facts of this latest one, and I'll reserve any judgment to wait and see, for those facts to come out. But it's an unfortunate circumstance, and I certainly, the family of the victim are certainly in my thoughts and prayers. And but I very strongly support our law enforcement community, and they need our support as well. This isn't easy when it happens for those that serve in uniform, and I think I would encourage folks to thank folks that they see in uniform when they see them, and let them know we appreciate their service, keeping us safe and protecting us.
Should there be a policy, a statewide policy on the use of body cams? The legislature has wrestled with it before.
The body camera issue is a controversial thing. It was the first thing I think people asked about in this case. Was there a body camera? Can we, will we see some evidence as to what maybe unfolded? I think that the controversy in the legislature has been what to do with the data once it's captured. Does it violate people's freedoms to have that video that might have been in their home, or having them in a compromising position, have that publicly available to anybody that wants to see it. So I think we've put some guardrails in place to allow them to be used, and I know that departments are adopting use of the body cameras, and I think it's a good protection for both the officer and the public to ensure that things are happening properly in an interaction between the public and the officers. So I certainly think they can be a good idea, but I respect our leaders in law enforcement to make those decisions for their own forces.
Well, should you take another look at it in the legislature?
I have a feeling we probably will. I'm not an expert in that area, but we're certainly open to talking about that.
Are you concerned about the sort of way the information is dribbled out slowly? Is that a concern to you?
I guess I want to make sure that they come to the right conclusion as to what happened, and that justice is served, whether it be on the side of the officer or on the side of the victim. I want to make sure that they make the right decision. So I think it's more important that they take their time and figure out what happened, and then we take some time and make sure that we don't get in this situation again. But I'm not as concerned about the time as maybe others are.
Will the training funds help that you folks approve? Will that help?
We want to always give law enforcement the tools that they need to be successful in their mission to keep us safe every day, and I certainly have the utmost of respect for our law enforcement officers, and they will certainly always have my support. I really respect what they do every day. To think that they put themselves in danger in the line of duty every day when they get out of bed, it really makes me have a lot of admiration for what they do, and we certainly want to give them the tools that they need to be successful, and if this helps, I'm happy it's there. All right, thank you all.